Hey, ladies and gents, welcome to the Controlled Interest Gamecast, where we talk about video games and everything happening in the industry. Episode 130. As always, I'm joined by Jordan.
Call me Greg Papadopoulos.
Greg Papadopoulos, my favorite Greek yogurt salesman. And returning, Dom, we didn't have you last week.
Praise the sun. No, you didn't, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
We did have Jared last week, Dom, but nonetheless, I'm glad that you're here this week, Jared.
Thank you. Glad to be back. So in terms of what we've been playing, I didn't get to, like I said last week, I wanted to try to get to the Spider-Man DLC, didn't have a chance to play it. And I don't remember the other thing that I wanted. Oh, the Devil May Cry 5 demo, also didn't get to it. The time I did have to play games, I was still working at Celeste on Xbox One. Last week I talked about, Dom, how I'm replaying through it on Xbox One. I was offered for free on Games with Gold, so I've just been playing through Celeste, going through those B tapes and collecting all the hearts and stuff. Man, do those B tapes get difficult. Like the first, 7 Chapter 5, the first 4 B tapes were difficult, but it's like, manageable, it's just trial and error. I'm getting to the point now where they're like, okay, I need to take a break, and I'll come back to this, you know what I mean? Like, I need to breathe, calm down.
So is Celeste on the level of Cuphead, Jared?
The B-sides, yes. The regular game,
Gotcha.
I would say it ramps up to it. Like, at the very end, I would say it's maybe the beginning parts of Cuphead, but yeah, it's not close. The B-sides, yes,
So,
very, very much so.
Just a side note, I've heard people mention this online a couple times, with it being in the conversation. And every fucking time I think of the studio Mat Makes Games and how we're joking about, like, could you not think of a better name? Whenever somebody says that online, yeah, it's made by Mat Makes Games, I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
And it's so funny because, like, you see him on stage for the Game Awards and he gives such an impassioned speech, about what the game means to people. And then you play Celeste and it's so creative and beautiful and, in my opinion, has some of the best game design in terms of just a 2D platformer. So it's like, man, all of your creative energy goes into all of this stuff. And then it's like when you're signing up for the LLC or whatever it is, you're like, Mat Makes Games. That's what I'm going to call it. So.
It's like, hey, what's your game studio called? Mat Makes Games. How old were you when you created it? 32?
31, yeah.
Sounds like something you would do, like, hey, little Maddie, what do you want to call your game studio? Mom, what about Mat Makes Games?
You only hire people named Matt. So I've just been playing through the B-sides, gathering hearts, doing all of that stuff. Game's fun, just enjoying it. The music's awesome. I don't know if I mentioned this when I mentioned the B-sides. I think I did, Jordan. One of the cool things is not only do the levels get more difficult, they take the song from that level, that chapter, and it's remixed in the B-sides. So it's really cool.
Yeah,
so you get to hear like a twist on the music you loved in the original version.
Yeah.
I will give a shout out too, just for somebody who's going back and collecting hearts and doing all this stuff in the levels I've already beat. I love that you have the skip cutscene in the options menu whenever a cutscene does come up.
Always, man.
It's not something that's rigorous or hard, to implement, but like just the little touches, the quality of life stuff. Just let me skip through the scene I already saw.
It's sad that that's even, a thing that you would appreciate outside of every game, because I just feel like, why is that not already in every game? Because especially now, people love replaying games to unlock secrets, to do speed runs, to do Let's Plays on YouTube, and like, I think games are being replayed more than ever, and to have to watch the cutscenes, or, the worst is when people talk about, like, having a cutscene right before a boss that you keep getting kicked back to. So, shit like that is unforgivable.
For creator's intent, I think the way it should be implemented is you have to see it the first time, and then after that you can skip it. That's just me. Some people might say, like, oh, no, I should be able to skip it from the beginning, but... yeah,
I'm a huge proponent of game stories, and I still feel like, maybe some people just really want that gameplay, but
yeah.
Who knows?
And like I said, not beat it, so like I see it for the first time. So in the instance where you said a boss, like, let me see it the first time, and even if I don't beat the boss and I get kicked before that cutscene, let me skip that cutscene to get to the boss. I saw it once.
But then, from creator's intent perspective, just to make the conversation more interesting, what if they're like missing out? They're like half watching it. Maybe they mute the TV. Maybe they're talking to their friend or their girlfriend on the couch or whatever, and then they see something fucking awesome happening on screen, so they jump back in, but then they're only like half aware of what's going on. And then it's like the creator's intent is even more fucked up, you know?
Well, yeah, that's why I say it's like, I say make it skippable, because some games do think Dark Souls does it where like you see it once and then you don't see it again. I think that's a little too far. I think it's like, let it start up playing again and then you have the option to skip it.
Oh, so if you replay, because I never replayed Bloodborne. If I replayed Bloodborne, would I still get the story scenes?
Yeah, I think you do. What I'm saying is, so in Dark Souls, when you go to fight a boss, there's usually a cutscene, right? And then you fight the boss.
Gotcha.
And if you die, you just respawn, and then when you go to fight the boss again, you just open the fog doors, right?
Gotcha.
Whereas what I'm saying is, they should have it so the cutscene's always there, but after the first time you see it, you could just like mash X to like get past it. You know what I mean? Because it meets the criteria of letting people get past it and not have to watch it 80 million times. But also, if somebody misses it or something, it's not a one chance thing. Kind of meets that middle ground.
Definitely let people skip cutscenes, and you should definitely give subtitle options.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to go on a huge tangent, but when we moved from 360 to like the HD TV era, and like Dead Rising came out, and you had to have an HD TV to read the subtitles. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, I remember playing Dishonored, original Dishonored on my SD TV, and I was like, dude, no, Jared, this is not the subtitles. This is all of the text in the game.
Oh, God. Yeah. It was all mushy.
I just couldn't read it. Like, the menus, it was so mushy, and, maybe it's some weird steampunk font they're using. I don't even remember, but it was like, I don't understand, how to upgrade my weapons and shit because of just how poorly this is implemented, which kind of has followed us into this generation with what I've complained about multiple times on Switch, where you get onto the handheld mode and you have to like put the screen up to your face like it's Google Cardboard because this text is so small. It's made for a big screen and there's no formatting change in between. So
these are
minutia things, but they're fucking important, man.
Well, think of it, especially the subtitles. I mean, that's important from an accessibility standpoint for people who can't hear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right? And then there's
exactly.
a whole other conversation of like all the accessibility options that aren't being offered on a regular basis is really sad. And
we're three of us are fortunate enough to not have to really need those a lot of the time. So I could just imagine somebody who's, needs those accessibility options.
Have you guys? Is that like one of your horrors? Like most people, they'd get a hand chopped off and it'd be like, man, it makes my job hard, but I can get through it. It's like, we get a hand chopped off. It's like, I can't fucking game anymore, dude. I would honestly cry. I would straight up fucking cry.
I'm worried more about my eyes. I'm worried about being blind.
That's dude, like your eyes. Oh, those are.
And you can't play any games.
As corny as it sounds, almost every day I wake up and I like, roll out of bed and I'm sitting at the edge of my bed and I like wiggle my toes and wiggle my fingers and I'm like, I'm really thankful that I have the ability to do this. You know what I mean? As corny as that sounds, it's just like.
I appreciate your appreciation of that, Jared.
Before I hop into what you guys have been playing, real quick, some other multimedia things that I experienced. Started watching that new Netflix series, Sex Education. That was getting some pretty rave reviews.
Okay.
Having a tough time getting through the first episode. It's like very...
Ooh.
It's like very British-y, like to a point where it's like kind of off-putting.
Kind of like stale. Is it stale?
Yeah, it's like very rigid, I think is the best way I would describe it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Maybe you just watch it with a bit of tea and crumpets.
The lead actor is the kid from Ender's Game. I don't know if you remember that actor, that kid.
Okay.
And he's like really lanky now and awkward, and obviously that's the whole point of the show. Not really enjoying it that much.
Struggling through the first episode of a show is never a great sign for the longevity of your relationship.
Exactly. I'm actually continuing my rewatch of Breaking Bad. Like I said, I was giving it a second chance.
Oh, that's a big deal. Because Jared's not like a fan. It's not like Dom and I watching Breaking Bad where it's like, oh, it's a jaunt back through good old times of fucking Jessica Jones ODing on heroin and shit. But you're like, actually, wow, I just spoiled that for you.
Yeah, I was going to say, what the fuck?
God damn it. I didn't see, I don't even... Dom, it doesn't register to me that there's human beings out there that haven't gone through Breaking Bad.
For reference, last time I finished the show, I was already, and I don't remember a lot of it, so there's some stuff I remember, some stuff I don't remember. Last time I was watching it, I think I finished around the time when he first got involved with El Pollo Loco, like maybe a couple episodes after that, with the manager, Gus. And I don't remember a lot of the new details.
You haven't seen shit. You haven't seen nothing.
I think that's like...
And also, Dom, if you really think about that scene, I didn't spoil what's important about it.
Well,
True.
You said something about overdose. I know that Jesse's girlfriend overdoses, for those who haven't seen it.
Oh. Well, then there you go. And like I said, I didn't even spoil like what's actually important.
Exactly. Oh, with the kid and everything? Oh. Maybe that's a different...
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's move on. You're going to...
Yeah. Anyways, so I'm watching through that again. I'm enjoying it, but it's still a lot of the issues I have with it from an entertainment standpoint are still there. The writing's great, and the show's directed well. It's just like the setting of the show isn't really for me, you know. Just like growing up in that culture, and especially being here in Albuquerque. The funny thing,
but do they do it justice?
Yeah, it's very authentic, and I think mostly that's why it disinterests me. Because
I won't even go into it, but I've been watching Justified, an FX show from around the same time, and it's all about being in Kentucky and growing up here in Tennessee. I've been really impressed with its authenticity, so interesting to know that there's a show similar for that.
Real quick, you know, early in the show, the doghouse restaurant that Jesse finds himself in, it's like where he sits in front of when he buys the gun to defend them from... that place is actually one of the best places here to eat. It's a local place, and they serve like some of the best chili dogs. It's a very good place. It's been around for a long time. People love that place.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very good. It's just funny to see it as like, oh, the drug spot. You know what I mean? It's really
it
funny.
becomes more than that. I'll just... Never mind. But.
Yeah. Just spoil everything. Just keep on. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's actually not in that show.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm just done.
Better Call Saul. Something happens. Yeah.
Dom, we can't even introduce that into his vocabulary yet. Just like keep his mind focused on Breaking Bad. Do you think he'll actually finish it?
Oh yeah, I'll finish it. I'll probably never watch Better Call Saul just because the actor doesn't really interest me. I know the show's great. I've heard about the show being great, but even that character doesn't really interest me. Like the thing we have to understand is like there's so much stuff they're being inundated with on a weekly basis of entertainment, and there's so much good stuff that, like, for me, who's somebody that doesn't watch a whole lot of TV and movies, I don't want to spend time on something that I hear other people say is good, but I kind of am not into. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
real quick, have you said before that like the pacing of Breaking Bad is not your cup of tea necessarily?
No, I have no issues with the way it's made. I think it's like a well-made show and everything. I just get tired of like the setting. You know what I mean? Like I like the characters and stuff. It's just like. I don't know what it is.
It's very indulgent in that setting. It loves, showing you the big sky and the grains of sand and, all that different shit. I was just going to say, I will say, Breaking Bad is slow. It's a slow burn for sure.
Well, even just
the crazy like the shit happening.
The drug culture and all of that stuff. I think to some people it's a kind of like shock value of like, I can't believe this is a real thing. It's like, having two parents who grew up working corrections and working at prisons and doing all this stuff, it's like, it's not that interesting or like taboo to me. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's whatever. I
gotcha. I was just gonna say, Better Call Coleslaw is even fucking slower than Breaking Bad. I will go ahead and say. So if the pacing of this show is not, even if someone's listening, if the pacing of Breaking Bad isn't your style, then Better Call Saul is certainly not going to tickle that itch.
I mean, I love slow pace. Like, we talked about Red Dead, and everyone hates how slow that game is, and I loved it. I loved every minute of how slow that goddamn game is. Anyways.
Well, then maybe you'll like Saul even better, because it does feel like Red Dead Redemption 2.
Actually. But I love the setting of Red Dead, It's not just that it has a slow pace. Anyways, went on quite a diatribe there. Really quick, this week, off the top of my head, I read Miles Morales' Spider-Man 1 and 2, Young Justice number 1, Champions number 1, Fantastic Four number 6. Real quick, Fantastic Four number 6, really dope. Obviously, Fantastic Four is back with Marvel, and they're really diving back in with the first family. Love what they're doing with Doom and Galactus. I love the twist there in that comic, in that issue.
I haven't read it yet.
Okay, yeah. So I'm being
6.
very.
I haven't read 6.
We've already kind of gone long on what I've been doing, so I don't want to go too long speaking about comics. So Champions. There's some change-ups in that team there. They're like the teen version of they're like the Marvel version of Teen Titans, Dom.
Yep.
Really cool stuff there. Young Justice, really interesting. People are wondering why. I don't. Have you read Young Justice #1, Jordan?
No, I haven't.
There's a character in there. People are wondering how he's in there given the current state of DC Comics. Also, shout out to the people who I hope find jobs because DC Comics laid off a bunch of people today. I think like 3% of their entire force or something. A bunch of artists and editors and stuff got fired, which sucks. And lastly, Miles Morales' Spider-Man is one of my favorite comics now. It's written by Saladin Ahmed.
I read issue 1.
I love the team up of Miles and Rhino because Rhino's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. And I just
when they were having this conversation and you're wondering where it's going in the first issue and you're like, wait, he's not really angry at Rhino anymore, and it's wait, oh gosh, they're about to team the fuck up here.
I love the art. Issue number 2 dives into that even more, Jordan. I really enjoyed it. Having a blast with it. The other thing, I didn't read it last week, but I forgot to talk about it the week before. Punisher is one of my favorite Marvel series running right now. The covers are beautiful.
War Frank.
Yeah, but the story is really cool. It's balls to the wall Punisher, which I love. Need to get to season 2 on Netflix. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. What have you guys been playing?
Nothing. Actually, no. Sorry. Been playing some Smash.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, baby.
We still need
Cool
to play.
game.
We have a message about playing. I want to play against you guys.
Yeah, we gotta set that up so I can shoot arrows at you as Link.
Oh god.
So that's still a fun game. I've also been playing more Ocarina of Time 3D on the 3DS because
cool.
That's what I do. So yeah.
Well, our own little Zelda boy over here.
Yeah, that's just what I do.
I mean, got to be one of the best remakes of all time, Dom.
Yeah, it's been 2 years since I played through it. So
do you know
I had to get back.
the differences are there differences that piss you off?
No, I mean,
because I think those were pretty faithful remakes.
Yeah, it's pretty spot on. I think there's a few quality of life things in the gameplay that's different, but I don't remember them off the top of my head. But it's mostly graphical, right?
Real quick,
Yeah.
Dom, what's your favorite Legend of Zelda?
Ocarina of Time.
Jordan?
Wind Waker.
Mine's Link Between
Respectable
Worlds.
pick. Also a great game.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
It's hard to pick a
I
bad
haven't
Legend of
played-
Zelda. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I haven't played Wind Waker HD on Wii U.
Really?
Which hopefully we'll get soon enough. I would love if we got a double pack with that and Twilight Princess
I would
HD.
pre-order that immediately.
Yeah,
Me too.
we really need that of
Yeah.
all the fucking quick ports they've done. But I never finished it because at the end of OG Wind Waker, there's the Triforce quest where it's hey, remember these places you've been throughout this entire fucking journey of all these hours and hours? Now you get to go back and complete these Triforce pieces. It's oh god. So you'd have to go on this whole journey around the world again, and I was fuck that. And a lot of people were fuck that. So much so that they ripped it out of the HD remaster, which is not a remake. That's just an upres on HD consoles. So they realized that it was so bad that they just ripped it straight out, and so I'd actually like to go back and play the edited version.
They added in a faster sale too or something, which is pretty cool. But yeah, most of the Zelda games.
God, that game on Switch, guys. I mean, Twilight Princess, sure, that'd be great, but Wind Waker on Nintendo Switch is a revelation that we've.
And a while ago, I probably would have said that will never happen. But seeing as how we just got new Super Mario Bros. U, Deluxe, whatever the hell they called it, where they had to add 3 new names to it, I wouldn't be surprised if they ported Wind Waker to Switch and called it Wind Waker HD
Deluxe
Switch Deluxe New something.
Yeah,
HD Classic Mini console.
Right.
I honestly, I'm even kind of pumped once I find it on sale, which I'm gonna have to be watching it like a hawk for that to ever happen. But if I get the the U game on sale, I'd like to play that too. Like, there's cool games that, you know, I don't want stranded.
I want Super Mario Maker, man. That's like the one I'm dying for. The port I want.
I think
more than
it's
anything.
like Smash at this point. Like, they're doing the sequel. That's why we don't have the up-res.
Anything else, Tom?
So, no other games. Not too much time in either of those actually either. But I did watch all that Castlevania nonsense on Netflix. I finished all that up. It's pretty
Nonsense.
cool. Yeah.
Nonsense.
Cool.
It's nonsense. It's awesome.
Nonsense in like a, you know, it's vampires in a
mean.
Teleporting castle, and it's fucking nonsense in that sense. But it's a really good show.
Yeah.
I haven't watched season 2 yet.
Of,
really love season 1. The 4 episodes
I meant to ask
are
you earlier, when you're talking about the comic, Jared, are you caught up on season 3 of Young Justice, Outsiders?
No, I'm waiting for a couple episodes to build up. I'm probably like, because it's already 2 episodes in, probably like another 1 or 2 episodes, and I'm going to binge them.
Oh, Jared, I have some very good news for you. Sometimes, actually it's pretty often, that cartoons are done in batch releases. So they've been doing 3 at a time, and I just watched episode 9 I just watched.
I didn't know that was the case. I thought it was they were releasing them one episode at a time.
9 is the most current out of 13. So you could just start watching and you'd probably have all the episodes out by the time you got there.
I'll start watching that tomorrow. I did not know.
Boom shakalaka. Yeah. There you go.
Revelations.
So obviously that focuses on the Outsiders. That's pretty cool stuff, man.
Yeah. I did have one thing spoiled for me, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, oh, I can't believe what Cyborg looks like in Young Justice. I'm like, God damn it.
Dude, I got that spoiled for me, Jared. That's not like he's not in the series yet.
Oh, wow.
I'm caught up. Yeah, I'm caught up.
I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, that was like IGN. Fucking IGN does that all the time, where it's like their pictures or their headlines or the little
Entertainment Weekly is the worst, dude, on Twitter.
Yeah, but like I'll scroll through IGN all the time, and it'll be like, and sometimes they'll even be like, and we're going to talk about that scene, but the picture shows that scene. It's like, I could see this character, Darth Maul's in fucking Solo.
Dom, real quick, since you're a Resident Evil Zelda guy, the confidence of you watched the Castlevania series, hearing the rumors about that the same production company might handle Legend of Zelda series, does that get you excited now knowing it?
I thought that they dismissed that, and it was actually going to be Devil May Cry.
Well, yeah, they're doing that, but so it was rumored for Legend of Zelda. You're correct. Then they said no, we're doing Devil May Cry. Then after that was announced,
why are you guys saying it like that? Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry. This sounds funnier. I like it. I always thought it was like about an emotional, like, I don't even want to get into what I thought Devil May Cry was before I actually saw gameplay. Anyways.
Well, all I know is about Devil May Cry is that it's one of those ones that like people do actually say differently.
The same production house is rumored to be doing the Legend of Zelda one. Maybe not the same animation team per se, Dom, but the same production like house overall. So, does that get you excited at all?
No, I don't really want that. I probably wouldn't watch it unless someone said it's great.
Really?
That's not. I don't like that. No, I don't like things like that. Like, Link shouldn't talk, and it's a game, and it's a game structured in a specific way. And to me, I don't know of a way that it would make sense as a show. You know, Mario shouldn't be in a movie talking as a human. It doesn't make any damn sense, so I don't want those sorts of things.
Okay, well, Mario already says sentences, so that doesn't even... Your argument's not holding weight there.
Interesting. The way I see it is like...
Hold on.
I don't think
gotta say this about the whole silent protagonist thing. In 30 years, are we still going to have dumbass 12-year-old boys walking up to people in video games and just...
yeah.
Just standing there? And it's like... But things, the problem, Dom, is things are actually coming from them. Thoughts are being communicated from that character to the NPC that it's talking to, right?
That's true.
Because they'll you'll pick a dialogue option. Fallout 3, I think, is this, where you pick a dialogue option, but your character is silent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which makes even fucking less sense. But still, really, you're going to walk around and save the entire world without ever talking to someone. You're just going to walk up to people and look at them. You're going to look at them, and they're going to give you a magic sword. You're going to fight the fucking demon. Okay.
You got it.
Real quick, I understand not making a game, like, taking a game and taking that exact same story and turning it into, like, a movie or a television show. I get that. And people are like, oh, why make that stuff when the game already exists? And it's obviously to sell your IP to a different audience that would probably never play games, right? That's the whole point. Mm-hmm. I'm down for a cartoon. If that gets my little niece or nephew interested in Legend of Zelda and then I can show them the game, I'm down with that. Because they're at the age where I don't they can play the game themselves. You know what I mean? They're still too young for that. But if I can introduce them to a cartoon and start laying those seeds of like, hey, you need to play Legend of Zelda. Yes. You know what I mean? So that's how I see it. Also, saying that Link can't talk in a show that has nothing to do with the games is so weird to me. That you don't want him to talk.
Well, excuse me, princess. You know where that came from, Dom? That's Link talking right there from the original Zelda anime.
Which was...
Well, excuse me, princess.
That's why I'm terrified, and I might not watch it if they came out with it.
Well, goddamn, that just because they did that once doesn't mean it's going to be like that again.
I'm really interested to see how the people who made the Minions are going to handle the annoying characters in the Mario universe. That's going to be something... I'm being sarcastic, by the way. Anyways, anything else, Dom? Or just Castlevania?
No, that's all.
Jordan, what about you?
So, played a little Smash. Played a bunch of Bayonetta on Switch, boys. I played a bunch of Bayonetta. I think I was trying to... I think I was having like trouble downloading
Lady Gaga over here.
Jared. When we last spoke, Jared. So I got it finished downloading that night of the last podcast and started playing. This game is, Japanese as fuck. Like, if you took God of War and you just made it so fucking Japanese that it was like unrecognizable. Like, Bayonetta has this long ass hair that goes down to the ground that's like woven into her clothes, right? And there are attacks where you press X and A on the Switch controller at the same time to Dom. Climax is what it says on the screen. Oh. And then you summon a hair monster because you have that long hair as Bayonetta, right? So you summon a giant bird or a dragon made out of hair that chomps your enemies to death, and you're like tapping the button to like make the bar go up for it to attack the enemy harder. What do you think about that, bud?
I don't really know what
it's fucking wild. The story, I think, is actually really fucking cool. I'm really enjoying it. It's about Bayonetta, the character. She is created, born of this unholy alliance, I guess, between an angel and a demon, it seems. Maybe it's still not clear to me, but she's a witch, and comes from this coven, I guess you could say, and you're fighting these angels, you're fighting these demons, or I guess mostly just angels at this point, but anyways, there's all this kind of magic going on. It takes place in a different world, but it's still modern. There's cars and cities and stuff. There's a lot of quirky characters. If you enjoy like super fucking Japanese shit, like goofy Japanese games, if you're into stuff like Kingdom Hearts, for example, actually is a good way to put it, or Metal Gear Solid, then this game will be up your alley.
Like gameplay wise, though, it's solid, right? Like.
Gameplay wise, it's actually very solid. It's also pretty difficult. I would compare it to, I'm not super familiar with the Devil May Cry series. It might be closer to that, but God of War, the original God of War, since you guys I know have played at least 3, you'll understand what I'm talking about there, where it's like classic action game. You can do button mashy stuff, but really it's about doing combos and hack and slash combat, I guess is a more accurate way to put it. Cutting up your foes and bouncing from room to room or whatever. It's definitely proficient combat. It's, like I said, pretty difficult. You're fighting these big bosses. It kind of feels like if you're doing like a hack and slash version of Bloodborne to me, even though, this came out before Bloodborne, but like that kind of deal where it's like these really difficult beasts that you're going up against, and there's a lot of damage you can do, but they can also just tear you to fucking pieces really quick if you're not careful. So you have to dash a lot, and counter, and combo instead of button mash, and all this different kinds of stuff. But it does teach you how to get good at the game in a really cool way that I like, to the point where, it'll be the type of thing where you're facing these enemies at first, and you're like, wait, I have to do 2 of those fuckers? Like, holy shit, how am I going to do this? And then later on they'll do 2, and then 2 right after that without any break, and you can pretty much get through it because of the way that it's helped you progress up that stair step, if you will. So I really enjoy this game. I can't wait to play the second one. Probably about halfway through this one, and definitely getting excited for 3, even though we know very little about it. But happy that Nintendo has decided to kind of shepherd this series since bringing out the sequel on Wii U and now bringing it forward to the Switch. Like I said, just some super fucking Japanese shit, and I really love that. I really enjoy when we get a good dose of that, and I can kind of just sit back and watch, an entirely different culture approach a game, or even a type of game that I'm sort of familiar with, that I've played Western versions of before, and just see how wild and goofy and funny it gets. Because I think one of the things that in some ways the reason that Japan has these sorts of things, whether it be an anime or games, whatever, these crazy goofy things, their commercial, their television, is because there is a side of Japanese culture that's ultra traditionalist, and so then the opposite side of that spectrum is them being ultra goofy and silly. And so we also have not nearly as much of a traditionalist society in America, but we can take ourselves too seriously or take things too seriously sometimes. And I think that they bring in their goofier exports over here, and it really just kind of wrecks our brain because we're not ready for this level of goofiness sometimes. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes it's weird. I don't appreciate upskirt shots of 14-year-old girls in anime. And sometimes it's not funny, or it's just awkward. But then sometimes it's Bayonetta or it's Metal Gear Solid, and it fucking clicks, and it's just a blast to ride along with. So I've really appreciated that, and like I said, can't wait to continue with the series.
Platinum's an interesting studio.
Yeah, that's another thing worth mentioning is Platinum. I've played Metal Gear Revengeance, which is a similar hack and slash game. But yeah, go ahead, Jerry.
I was just gonna say Scalebound was the only game that ever interested me from them. Yeah. And then obviously that got canceled. And we don't know if it's fully Microsoft or them. I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But with Bayonetta, I know the game's great. I've heard great things. The reviews very well. For me, I'm just not into the whole do cool, crazy, fast combat with a dominatrix. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what it is,
Yeah.
Jared. I've been thinking there are the sexual overtones in this game. Dom are speaking of Dom. Yeah, she's such a Dom. This game is wacky. When you do the hair powers, Dom, she's fully naked, and then there's just hair swirling around her, covering up her parts. There's so much dominatrix bullshit in this game. You're right, Jared.
Yeah. And that stuff, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but a lot of the quirky, pervy, sexy stuff never really clicks for me from Japanese culture, and that's just my my own thing. But when I see that, I'm that character doesn't really interest me, and then the combat, though I hear it's so great and so solid and so seamless, I'm it's just not the type of game I want to play personally. But I do respect it.
For those that hear that, kind of get worried about playing the game, it's undertones. It's very overt undertones, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but she's not getting on her knees and fucking blowing these monsters or whatever. It's not quite that fucking far, right? So, but it is good, weird, and I think it's funny weird because they're more just alluding to it in a lot of ways. She, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, where there's you'll go into a room, and in God of War, in the original God of War games, it would be a fire wall that would cover the exit to the room, right?
Yeah.
It would like block the thing. Well, when she finishes a room, beats all the guys in there, then she blows a kiss, and that makes the barrier go away. So things like that are added throughout the game. She's always got like this little lollipop that she's kind of playing with, and she's doing these like sexual poses. So it's definitely weird. You gotta kind of like. When I was watching the opening cutscene of the game, it was like I can either go with this, like get down with this, and just be down for the ride, or I could like just not be down with this. You kind of it's
just something you have to accept. Yeah.
Right, it's definitely one of those things that you have to either go with or not. You have to accept or decline kind of at the beginning, because it isn't for everybody, and I can totally understand that. But for the most part, it's been goofy. Like I said, there are times where the Japanese culture thing can actually make me, like, in a way, like, sexually uncomfortable, because I think they're doing things that are not okay. But this game doesn't have that. There's a little girl that she meets, and there's no, like, weird, pervy stuff with her. So,
it's
or
like,
at least so far. Who knows?
It's not like dead or alive levels of that, because, man, dead or alive.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like, there are things where it's, there are types of that Japanese stuff where it's more out in the open, and there's stuff where it's, like, a goofy joke, like an innuendo thing, and I think that's where Bayonetta falls, as opposed to Dead or Alive, where it's like, let's see how much we can make their boobs bounce,
Exactly.
Which is, there's a place for that, too, and, like, I'm not going to go to that place, because I do think that that's like a creepy place if you're like really excited about the new Dead or Alive games. But, I mean, I don't care that there's porn games out there. It doesn't upset me. I think that adults should be able to do whatever they please as long as they aren't hurting others. And so, to get a little taste of that, if you will.
God.
Holy shit. All right.
is fun. It's a fun game, Dom. It's a fun game.
Man, was there like some RPG or something?
Jesus Christ. I just want to say, here's one thing I don't love about Bayonetta. Your die screen, your kill screen, it's asking you whether or not you want to continue. And there's this like old crone character in the game, and she says, "The shadow remains cast."
So Hogwarts? What the hell?
Whenever you want to click continue, and it's like, it's a fucking difficult game, so you're getting your ass kicked sometimes. And I die a lot, and I have to, "The shadow remains cast" every fucking time. So, and that's another thing, is like, I could go back through and be more concentrated now that I'm learning the game better and better, and actually get good ratings, because that's how they do these hack and slash games. They'll like rate you at the end of the level. But yeah, I'm getting like torn to shreds at the end of every level. They're like, Jesus, this fucking guy like making fun of me and shit. So but whatever. I want to get better at video games in general.
With as much as like Platinum's lauded for their like tight gameplay, right? But it's like hectic and fast. I would be really interested to see like a team up of like From and Platinum to see what that kind of game would be like, because they approach combat very differently.
From I mean? Tightens the screws a lot more. Platinum, I will say that about Platinum games, is like the screws are not always tightened, and
but it's not about that though. It's more about like fast-paced, hectic combo gameplay, whereas like From is slow, not necessarily slow, but like methodical, strategic, well-placed combat.
I mean, Sekiro is something that looks more along those lines. That's like From leaning closer to Platinum than away.
Yeah. Are we ready to hop into the news? News.
Absolutely. Dom
was over this
over here.
Dom was over this conversation.
Well, there's bad news coming from me here, so let's just get it.
So, first of all, this is crazy news that popped up today. The creative director of Cyberpunk 2077 is now working with Blizzard. So Sebastian Stepien, who was the creative director for Cyberpunk 2077 over at CD Projekt Red, is now working at Blizzard Entertainment. Apparently he left, and he's now working at Blizzard. Seems like CD Projekt Red hasn't really made a public statement about this. He had worked there for 12 years, so he worked on all of the Witcher games, or at least Witcher 2 and Witcher 3. And there's no word on what he's doing over there, but apparently he also is a creative director on a new project. So we're going to be finding out probably in the next couple of years what that ends up being, if Blizzard is still around.
It's been a tough road, man, for old Cyberpunk 77. It's been bumpy with leaks and studio departures, and accusations against the studio about the workplace, and I'm just really, really hoping that that's not gonna negatively affect the game, and we may never know. We may never be able to quantify that, but a lot of people complained about the writing in the demo that we saw last year, and I certainly wasn't blown away by its quality, and I've heard that could be related to studio departures in the writing department. So it's like it's not making my stomach any less sick, I'll say that.
The thing with Cyberpunk's writing is, for me, somebody who's I'm half Hispanic and I come from that culture, it's like you could I don't think the writing was necessarily racist like some people are saying, but it definitely was like, this is being written by somebody who doesn't know the culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't from like a bad place. It was just from,
hey, hombre, how you doing, man? You doing all right, man?
Yeah. The thing is, we don't have a set release year for this, so like you said, we don't know how much it's going to affect in terms of a delay. The thing is like, Witcher 3 was an exceptional game. The way they handled post-release content is like, we want to have faith in CD Projekt Red, and it's not that this game's going to be bad, but people have to understand that this game could easily come out and not be as good as the expectations have been set. You know what I mean? Just because they set themselves up with The Witcher 3 doesn't mean they'll necessarily hit it out of the park. Now, do we all have confidence in them doing that? Yes. I still think it's going to be a great game. But we have to realize that the tumultuous development cycle this game's had, we could see some of those issues linger into the development. We don't know. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Jared, real quick, could you remind me the name of the studio that does Payday that just got
Starbreeze
raided? Starbreeze is a European studio. Are they Polish?
Good question. I don't know.
Something like that. Maybe Czech. I don't know. They're like Central European studio.
Yeah.
They got raided for financial fraud, possible reasons. Whoa. And I just got to say, I'm really glad that it didn't happen to the Witcher developers, because if it did, then we'd probably have to call it CD Projekt Red, and that would be such
hell yeah. Get raided. Yes, there's not much there. Just a weird departure that came out of nowhere. I'm assuming CD Projekt Red already has somebody in place, obviously being the creative director. Just came out of nowhere. No one expected it. Now the big news, MPD 2018 year in review. We got a bunch of numbers to go over. I've kind of organized it in a fashion that we can go through these things and talk about separate parts of it, because there was a lot of information that came out. Shout out to Mat Piscatella over on Twitter. Really nice guy. I messaged him with some questions regarding the MPD, and he got back to me really quick and answered them for me. One thing I didn't know, I thought he worked like in partnership with the MPD, like he looked at all their numbers. Apparently he works directly for MPD. They hired him to be the video game guy years ago. So that's really crazy. I did not know that. If you want to know about like video game numbers and the business side of it, he's a great follow. There's some numbers in here that I didn't include that for accessories and stuff. And off the top of my head, PlayStation 4 Black DualShock 4 was the best-selling controller. The Razer Xbox headset was the best-selling headset. And the Nintendo Switch case, like the Nintendo official one, the big one, the black one, was the best-selling hardware case for the year. So, really interesting how each company had a different one in there, the controller, the headset, and the case. But let's get into these numbers. First off, total video game sales. This includes hardware, software, accessories, the whole lot. In 2018 was 16.7 billion. That's up 13% over last year's total, and it's actually the highest since 2011's 17.4 billion. Now, to put that in perspective, what makes it interesting is that in 2011, what happened in the next 2 years? We saw the launch of next gen, right? We were at the tail end of the previous gen, where all these people had consoles and they were wanting to buy games, wanting to buy all of this stuff, and that's where usually you see your highest profits, right? When the install base is there. So it shouldn't be a surprise that here in 2018, what we assume is probably 2 years before the next gen, we're seeing the highest number since that point. I think that's really cool. Is that surprising to you guys at all?
Not really.
Not really. Just because I think games in general, as an industry, is growing year over year.
Yeah.
That doesn't. will not continue to surprise me because I think that it makes sense. The only thing that's keeping games from really like just taking over the fucking globe is games themselves and how they're developed. I mean, I think about this a lot, but I've thought a lot about it recently where there's still a lot of obtuse aspects to games. There's still a lot of pieces and parts of games that you really have to like wrap your mind around, and there's parts of games that I look at sometimes and I'm like, how would you ever expect someone playing through their first video game to understand this concept, to be able to work through it, to be able to beat it or finish it, or to be able to handle this situation? And so I feel like there's just a lot of steps that development needs to make in order to become more accessible. And I don't mean like making games baby games or anything. I don't mean dumbing down the Souls games. I just mean making it a more intuitive experience to pick up and play any video game start to finish without having to scratch your head or like try to figure something out, without needing a walkthrough. Walkthroughs I wish weren't nearly as kind of necessary as they currently are. Like,
yeah,
I just think that games have a long way to go when it comes to that type of stuff. And like I said, once they do start getting out of their own way and quit shooting themselves in the foot, then I think the global takeover as far as an entertainment industry will be complete at that point.
Well, yeah, Jared, I think... go ahead if you're going to... I was going to segue, so go ahead.
Oh, what I was going to say is that video games account for more revenue than all other entertainment mediums combined, which is crazy. Right. Put that in perspective. Movies, TV, music, all of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, so to me, that growth makes perfect sense if you think about how much bigger mobile gaming is, for one. More people have phones and tablets that can play mobile games.
Yeah.
And there's more mobile games, but also better mobile games, especially when it comes to how they're structured as far as payment. Of course, I mean microtransactions within not just mobile games, but in regular console games. And then, of course, you can attribute a lot of that growth to a handful of games. One of which, as of late, is Fortnite. That owns a few of those percentages right there.
Oh yeah.
How much money gets spent on that, right? This kind of pay structure didn't exist, at least not to this extent, back in 2011, right? So publishers and developers have started to really master extracting money from our wallets in that regard.
Well, the thing is that the female demographic is also expanding pretty rapidly too. Which is huge because obviously there's a lot of women on this planet. So if you get them into video games, that's a whole other market.
Yeah, definitely it's growing. The amount of people that are playing games definitely has to be growing too.
Exactly.
What if I named my daughter female demographic?
Female demographic Jarvis. Yeah. Femme demo Jarvis.
There you go.
Next,
Femi Demi, that's what we'll call it.
Femi Demi. For the first time since 2009, Nintendo is the highest software revenue generating publisher of the year. Kind of crazy.
That's nuts.
Nuts.
Wow. I mean, Wii U, right? That's what that says. That explains that.
Well, yeah. So that was at the tail end of Wii, and then the Wii U just came out and did nothing.
There's a lot of Wii help coming in there to make that happen.
Speaking of Nintendo, though, Nintendo Switch ended 2018 as the year's best-selling hardware platform in both units and dollars, which is important.
Wow. And it's a cheap console, man.
Yeah. It was also the best-selling hardware in December of this generation. So from 2013 on, it's the best-selling console in the month of December ever.
Jesus.
That sounds about right. I mean, it's the new console, right?
Exactly, yeah.
The Christmas Kings.
And people who said Super Smash Ultimate wasn't a system seller. I mean,
right?
Yeah.
God damn, bro.
You guys? So
that is like, I know it's not a fucking revelation here, but Mario Kart. Just think about the library we currently have. Not even really 2 years into the console's life cycle.
Exactly.
We have such a strong library, and you could rip out the remasters or the ports, and you'd still have a really strong library. So I'd like to shout out Nintendo for that, but also stick it to them that the user interface and the store, there's still a lot to go with this console.
So I have 3 different categories we can hit next, and you guys tell me which one you want to go to. The top 10 games ranked by dollar sales, which is obviously a pretty important one. We have the top 3 best-selling games per platform, which is also interesting. And we have ongoing streaks or records that took place in 2018. Which one do you guys want to dive into first?
Streaks.
Okay, so first
Whatever
off,
you say, Mitchy boy.
First off, Call of Duty, for the 10th consecutive year, is the best-selling game franchise. Now remember, that's different.
What we call a streak.
That's different than specific games. So obviously, that doesn't say specifically how Call of Duty Black Ops 4 performed, because remember,
right.
What was the last one? World War II.
World War II
was one of the best-selling games up until the new Call of Duty came out. So it's specifically the best-selling game franchise. So it takes total sales from World War II and Black Ops. And the way their structure is, they're probably going to have that for a while because they kind of have really good overlap, right, in terms of sales. Next up, NBA 2K. This is the 3rd consecutive year it's the best-selling sports franchise of the year.
Nice, really?
Was it last week? It was last week we talked about they recently signed a new deal with the NBA, 2K did, for, do you remember how much it was, Jordan? I don't remember off the top of my head. It was 7 years.
You do not.
$4 billion or something like that. Over the next 7 years, they're paying the NBA for the license. Which makes sense because it's selling like crazy.
Is that an exclusive deal, or can EA still make their NBA game?
It's not an exclusive deal. It's a deal to use the NBA license. So it's different. Gotcha. It's not like Madden, yeah.
Right, okay.
And the last one, this is actually, I think both of you will be stoked for this because I know how much you guys love Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, technically. It finishes 2018 as the 2nd best-selling racing game of all time, behind Mario Kart on the Wii. So with its sales in 2018, Mario Kart 8, including Deluxe, is now the 2nd best-selling racing game ever, behind Mario Kart on Wii.
Huh.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense when you think about it, but it still sounds nuts when you first hear it. Like, wow.
The thing is Mario Kart is usually one of the best sellers on Nintendo systems, and this one got to come out twice. So, because it takes into account the Wii sales, which weren't a whole lot, but it was still some.
Yeah.
And obviously Mario Kart on the Wii.
Bravo. Nice.
So Dom picked this category. Jordan, it's your turn. Do you want top 3 best-selling games on each platform, or the top 10 for the year?
Top 3.
Okay, so we'll start with Switch. I'll let you guys guess. You don't have to guess a specific order, but what do you think the top 3 games were for the year for the Switch?
Smash, Mario Kart, and Pokemon.
Okay. Jordan?
In this order, I'm going to say, this is hard. Pokemon, Smash, and Kart, I guess.
So, I mean, the order from 3 to 1: Super Mario Odyssey.
Okay. Oh, what?
Dang.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Wow.
Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Wow. What? Pokemon has got to be in the top 5.
The crazy thing, and this is a separate story I was going to include, but I decided not to. Pokemon sold well and ended up in the top 20 for the year, but apparently Japan did not like Let's Go. It underperformed in Japan, which that's a huge part of.
Somebody gave them the finger because America was eating that shit up, dude.
And the thing is Japan is a big market for the Pokemon company, and Japan, I guess, just was indifferent on it. It didn't sell poorly, but it didn't hit expectations. Japan just didn't.
I was also thinking, when you say it's in the top 20, is it combining Pikachu and Eevee, because they are technically separate?
No, it wasn't. Pikachu was number 20. Eevee wasn't on the list. So if you combine them, it would have probably been.
If they were combined, yeah,
it would have been probably between 10 and 15, I assume. Quick math, obviously, who knows?
You should combine those because they're basically the same game, right?
Yeah, but they're different SKUs, so it's like,
yeah.
It would be. I want to see where it would probably mark in the conversation of best-selling game franchise, right? With like Call of Duty, because World War II and that. But
sure.
Next up, PlayStation 4, Dom.
Oh shoot. Red Dead is number 1. Actually, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is number 1. Red Dead is
go.
number 2. Number 3 is I don't know what was the Ubisoft games that came out this year.
AC Odyssey is actually what I was gonna say is number 3.
I'm gonna say Far Cry.
Remember, it could be exclusives, but obviously third parties tend to sell more.
It's not.
So, Jordan, what was yours? Red Dead, Call of Duty, Odyssey.
Oh, shit! Sorry.
Could
Exclusives
be Spidey
would.
and 3.
Okay, so you're saying Red Dead, Call of Duty, Spidey.
Yeah, because you like added
fucked
that
up.
part about the exclusives. I'm like thinking, I don't know.
Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
I wasn't
throwing you
thinking
off.
properly.
Okay.
And it makes sense for an exclusive to be on.
I'll
that
take
because
the
it's only
hit for the
counting-
team.
Oh.
Okay.
I'll take the hit.
And what did
I'll
you say, Dom?
Spidey at 3.
I feel like I need to. Now that I understand.
I don't
reality.
think Far Cry's 3.
No way. So Far Cry just on PlayStation sales. So I was thinking of it incorrectly.
Yeah.
So it does make sense for an exclusive. So I'm going to say Call of Duty and then Red Dead and then Spider-Man.
So both of you nailed the 3, but the order's wrong. So Spider-Man is number 3. Not yet, Jared. Black Ops is number 2, and Red Dead's number 1.
Oh wow.
Now,
that's
Xbox
crazy.
One.
Blessing. Same thing, except instead of Spider-Man, it's fucking.
I'll say this. I'll give you a big hint. What's the biggest? When you think about the American audience, what's the biggest marketing deal that Xbox has with the game?
Battlefield?
So your guesses are Call of
Yeah.
Duty, Red Dead Redemption, Battlefield.
I suppose, but
Jordan?
yeah, I'll go with it.
Biggest partnership that Microsoft has with a game.
I know you guys are going to
Fallout
overlook
76. Fallout 76.
it. So yours is Black Ops, Red Dead.
I just knocked that shit
Fallout
out
76.
of the park, Dom. Watch this.
So I'll do reverse order to make it more interesting. Number 1, Call of Duty Black Ops. Number 2, Red Dead. So they actually swapped. So Call of Duty sold more on Xbox, which makes sense because
I was thinking about it. It kind of makes sense with the history.
Xbox
Well, the marketing deal.
the marketing deal's number 3. Call of Duty and Red Dead are both with PS4.
I meant Red Dead had a marketing deal with PlayStation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
But so does Call of Duty 2, but that doesn't matter because people still buy Call of Duty no matter what.
Right.
Number 2, Red Dead. Number 3, Madden 19. Remember, Xbox has the Madden marketing deal.
I did not know that.
See,
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I don't know that. What is that?
It's just every time you see a Madden commercial, it ends with Xbox. They have people playing it on Xbox. Like,
God.
they have NFL players playing it on Xbox. Like, it's huge. So it's like, for an American audience, it's like, oh yeah, play Madden on Xbox. Now for the top 10 games. We're going to go from 10 to 1, obviously, to make it interesting. Number 10. We'll guess when we get into the top 5. Number 10, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Good job.
Nice.
Number 9, Monster Hunter World. Good job.
Nice, very nice. Yeah.
Number 8, God of War. Stayed in the top 10. Great.
Excellent. Well done, guys.
Number 7, Far Cry 5. Expected. It's a
Very well
Ubisoft game. Number 6, Spider-Man. So
Great.
PlayStation got 2 exclusives in the top 10. That's great.
Impressive.
Okay, now we're going to go here. Number 5. What's your guesses?
Far Cry.
No,
So I'm
that's
going to
6.
say, I'm not even going to guess the order here. Just Red Dead, Call of Duty, and Far Cry. And
I already said Far Cry. Far Cry was number 7.
oh, my bad. Fuck. So
It's a
one of
sports
them's
game.
got to be.
You
one of
no,
them's
just
gotta
guess what
be-
you think is number 5 because we're gonna go because that'll take too long if I get your 5 and then. So what do you think number 5 is? A game that I haven't
NBA.
listed. That's your guess, okay?
Madden.
Number 5 is Smash Ultimate, and it's not counting
shit.
digital
Forgot
sales,
about
which
that.
is crazy. So
Ooh.
if it counted digital, it'd probably be way higher. What's number 4?
I bought it. Wait, did we
NBA.
all buy it digitally? I did.
I did.
No.
Yeah, I bought it digitally.
Wow, so there's 2 copies right there. Not counting 4.
Number 4. What are your guesses?
NBA.
Madden.
Jordan's right. It's Madden. Number 3.
NBA.
And my number 4 guess was gonna be Smash. Fuck. I would have been nailing that shit.
Number 3, Jordan.
Number 3. Jeez, man, I don't know.
If you paid attention to what I've said, I'll give you a hint. We already know Madden's number 4. It wasn't the best-selling sports game of the year.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, so NBA.
Yeah.
Exactly. NBA 2K19, number 3.
And I already know 1 and 2, so I knew.
Dom already knows because he was checking a bet. So Jordan, what do you think number 2 is?
Pay attention to what I've been saying. You'll know
Nope.
too.
Number 2 is Black Ops. Number 1 is Red Dead.
Now, I know Blessing's not listening.
But there was a certain point where Black Ops had sold more than Red Dead. Right?
It did, but this doesn't count PC sales.
Right.
What the fuck?
So Call of Duty's PC sales don't count, which is a huge portion of it. So,
and on top of that,
it's dollar sales, not units sold.
This is dollar sales, and Call of Duty was $40 for the entire month of December.
Red Dead's not on PC is a good point.
Exactly.
Well, no, it's not. It's not all of these games. Like they counted Monster Hunter World's PC sales. It's Call of Duty specifically. Activision doesn't share PC sales.
Whoa, I'm just saying Red Dead.
Yeah, it doesn't
have a PC
exactly.
release.
So it's even. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So I'm confident, and this is U.S. only, I believe, too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a few caveats in there, but it should be pretty representative of the world. I don't know. That's a dumb assumption, actually. So who knows? But yeah. So I think I still have a chance for one in this because I think you add in those PC sales, not where Call of Duty is going to sell the best, probably, of course, but add those in there, and then add in the fact that Call of Duty was on sale so much, and Red Dead didn't go near a sale.
What this tells me is that if we do another bet for the best-selling game of the year, we need to clarify units sold or dollar sales. That's how it makes sense. Yeah.
I've never studied or looked this closely at the specifics around the NPD numbers. I just kind of took it and ran. But
shout out to Mat Piscatella again for providing these numbers. It's really cool, really neat insight. Can't wait to look at this stuff next year. That's it for the show. Wasn't too much news. Like we said, we covered the CD Projekt Red stuff. We talked about Bayonetta at length and Legend of Zelda. We had some neat conversations. We'll be back next week. Next week we're going to have a guest. Andrew Taylor, I believe is his name. Huge Resident Evil guy. He's wanted to come and guest on the show, and I was like, next week would be perfect to get him on when RE2 Remake's coming out.
Resident
Evil. Yeah, so look forward to that. In terms of what we're going to be playing, going to try to get to the DMC5 demo, Spider-Man DLC, and I want to start playing something, but it's like Kingdom Hearts 3 is right around the corner, so I don't know if I want to start a new game.
Walk away, you don't hear me say please.
I'll for sure be watching some What the Hell is Going On videos to catch myself up since I didn't have the opportunity to play the collection. That's pretty much it for me in terms of I watched the Fire Festival documentary on Netflix. Crazy.
Me too.
Do not, if you did, well, I'm not going to say it like that. I wouldn't recommend that you need to go watch the Hulu one. I've watched both.
I did too. Both.
I don't think they're both necessary. I think you could get one or the other. I think Netflix's is a better, more entertaining documentary. Yeah, I know it's done by Jerry Media, the guys that were involved in the situation, but they only have so much to gain by making themselves look good, which they don't even necessarily.
Also, they're not even. Yeah, they weren't even the takeaway from the movie, so it's like whatever. That argument's weird.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would just recommend you watch the Netflix one and know that they made it, but that it's not a huge deal. And I think it's an entertaining story.
Yeah,
I mostly agree, Jordan, but I'll just throw in there the Hulu one does have a whole lot of interview with Billy McFarlane himself, actually, so that's something.
That's a good point, but
then you have to argue the case of it's a whole thing. I think if you're really interested, watch both. I haven't watched the Hulu one.
You don't get much from the Billy interviews. The only thing I got is just noticing how much of a fuckboy he is, and when they would ask him questions, and he just can't be honest.
But
sometimes he just can't do it.
I do think it's important for people to watch it though, because even if you're not interested in the Fire Festival, it does help you if you're planning to go into business or just know people in general. I think it shows you a case of worst case scenario of getting involved with projects, and if you feel red flags, most of the time.
Life lessons.
Exactly. I think it's a really interesting documentary to check out. And I'm definitely going to be watching Young Justice now that I know that they weren't releasing it episode by episode. So, pretty much it for me.
Yeah, boy. 3 at a time.
What about you guys?
Well, like I was singing earlier, it's about time for some KH3, which it's been about time for a long-ass motherfucking time.
Oh, we'll have impressions of that next week, too, because that comes out before the next show. I forgot.
Gentlemen, on Tuesday, we're going to be playing the mainline sequel to Kingdom Hearts 2, which is a PlayStation 2 game.
Exactly.
And this one was announced, Kingdom Hearts 3 was announced in 2013. And I was looking at photoshopped covers of it long before that for the PlayStation 3 computer entertainment system. And it did not come out for that system. So I have been excited for this for a long time. Kingdom Hearts is one of those series that I saw as a kid and I was like, I gotta fucking play that game, man.
I think we all did.
Like the commercial was simple and clean, and I'm seeing the Disney characters and the Final Fantasy stuff combined, and I'm just like, holy shit, this looks so cool. And the Keyblade and all that shit, man. So then playing it, I can remember playing it at a friend's house that we went to church with. And just like, oh my god, you have that game, can we please go play that right now? And then yeah, it's just the rest is history, man. It's taken a long time. It's a convoluted story. There's a lot of side games. Jared and I were talking before the show. There's only one of those side games, which is the least of them, that is below a 70 on Metacritic, and it's a 66. So it's like, even the side games have been quality. You know, Birth by Sleep is still my favorite fucking game, and that's a prequel on the PSP that you can now play on the PS4 in 4K 60. So, a lot leading up to this game, and, you know, I do not believe that this is going to be a Final Fantasy 15 situation where it's still not quite there. Like, I really think this game's about to be dope as fuck.
And initial reviews are
hold on.
Very exciting.
Yeah, real quick, Dom. Jordan doesn't want any reviews. So,
yeah. Oh, good or bad? So I told him, like, even if they were all 10s or 100s, I don't want to know.
Okay. Yeah.
I knew that they were going to be positive, like, obviously.
Without giving specifics,
they know how to make a Kingdom Hearts game.
Without giving specifics for you, Dom, since me and you can have this conversation. Before today, I was sitting at like a 7.5 hype. I'm about like an 8.5 now. I'm still cautious, but I'm more excited than what I previously was. So that's great.
Yep. And that's where I'm building to. Dom, have you played Fragmentary Passage, the little Aqua chapter on 2.8?
No, I don't have that disc, but I queued up the YouTube, conglomeration of all the
cutscenes
by Greg Papadopoulos. Yep. Great video.
So before
I've been going back through the cutscenes of Dream Drop Distance, since that's like canonically, other than Fragmentary Passage, that's the most recent leading up to Kingdom Hearts 3. So, but yeah, I hadn't played Fragmentary Passage because I was waiting for this exact situation. It's kind of like ground zeros of Kingdom Hearts 3, if you will. Aqua's my favorite character in the series, and this is kind of a simplistic thing. The graphics aren't perfect. The combat is there's not too much to it because you're not building like a full RPG character like you are in the main games over 30 or 40 hours, whatever, that you're adding to and all this. So it's kind of different the way you approach it, and so I get that. It's more just a fun little thing to kind of get you going for the game and finally finish this Aqua bridge of the story that kind of runs throughout the entire series, which obviously I'm really interested in since she's my favorite character. So yeah, the stuff I've done so far, I'm about an hour in, is fun. I'm probably about halfway-ish through it, and we'll be finishing up here before the big game comes out. But yeah, it's a nice little something to have, like I said, especially finishing up her story, or connecting her story, I should say, because she's going to be in the third game. And yeah, it's cool. It's nothing like too much to write home about. I think if you're watching the cutscenes online, Dom, you'll be fine. It's kind of like giving me an idea of what I'm going to be looking at with the Kingdom Hearts 3 gameplay, but I can already tell from the little bit that I've let myself watch of footage of KH3 that it's going to be a much more in-depth system. So I will say there's a really cool monster that I've encountered that's like a little tentacle water floaty guy, and they'll like just turn into water. The particle effects are fucking incredible. I'll say that much with the magic and all that. And they'll turn into water and just turn into like a tube of water and float somewhere else and then rematerialize into the squid thing. And it's just so fucking cool. I love that. So,
Dom, just Kingdom Hearts 3 for you?
That's it. Simple and clean, baby. Let's go.
Simple and clean. Also, I didn't let myself watch the intro video to 0.2 Fragmentary Passage until I actually played the game. And it's got one of the remixes that I've already heard of the song. But God, you want to talk about simple and clean. That video with it finally looking crispy, and we're finally on HD consoles with this series now. It looks so clean and crispy, and the song sounds amazing. So like, I didn't, they've already released the opening for KH3. I haven't let myself see it. So
I haven't seen it either.
I'm excited for it. It's dank, dude. Fragmentary Passage is dank.
If RE2 Remake and Kingdom Hearts 3 are any indication for the year we're about to have in 2019 in terms of video game quality, it's shaping up to be a pretty good year. Thank you guys for listening. If you can, please follow us on iTunes. Leave us a review. It definitely helps. The podcast is also on Google Play if you want to check it out that way. Subscribe to us on YouTube if you watch the podcast. Thank you for doing that. Like, subscribe, smash that bell icon to know whenever we upload a new video. It definitely helps YouTube's algorithm and all that. You can lose subscription, so make sure to hit that bell icon. Follow us on Twitter at CTRLINT. That's Controlled Interest abbreviated. Tweet all the uploads there and anything else we find interesting. You can follow me.
Quick bet.
Huh?
Before you do the outro, I wanted to do a quick bet.
Okay, hold on.
When are we getting the first story expansion? Sorry, you said.
Let me finish the Twitter handles real quick, and then we'll cut to that. Hold on.
I was trying to find a good spot.
You can follow me at Jared_. You can follow Jordan at Melomodus, and you can follow Dom at Dom's Oreos. What's your quick bet, Jordan?
Okay, we're getting post-release content. They've already said that, and obviously look at Final Fantasy 15. Duh. When are we getting the first story expansion drop, boys? I don't think it's going to be like Spider-Man like next month.
May.
But May. So the game comes out January 29, and May is when we'll get our first expansion. That's pretty quick, man.
I think they want to hit some buzz before E3. You know what I mean?
Yeah, cool. I could see that too.
The thing is, we don't have... See, if Sony was doing a press conference, I would be like, oh, at E3, they'll announce it, right? Sony's not at E3.
It's not a very interesting bet because we all agree with May. Yeah, I think before E3. I think before E3 is a good time to hit. Maybe they'll miss that. But
it'll be before September.
I can do like a little summertime, early July, like right there, because people just don't like releasing AAA games in the summer. So we'll see. That's
the Nintendo Wii U port window. So who knows? Maybe that's when we'll get the Kingdom Hearts Collection port. Thank you guys for listening. Tune in next week, episode 131, when we have a guest. Really cool thing is it's January. It's going to be January 31st when we record. So it's like 131.
Ooh,
that's pretty cool. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.